Greeting, President Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, and my friend Ellie Mayor Eric Garcetti. Once again, I come to you and to all Americans and the world that's watching America handle your corona COVID virus 19 and your homeless situation that's in LA, 58,000 at least scattered abroad in the region. And of course, all the other cities and states that are plagued with homelessness, including Hawaii. This is a warning. You have a legal and a moral dilemma facing you when it comes to the question of COVID virus 19, homelessness. What are you going to do about it? How are you going to address it? You have a moral crisis on your hands. Here's your choices. You could either leave the homeless where they are. And as you know, the majority of homeless people are refusing to be tested. And you guys have said, you all have said that testing is the key. Yet you got the majority of the homeless that won't bother taking the test. We also discovered here in LA, Mr. President, you probably know this, of the very few homeless that did receive the testing on Skid Row, 70%, we are told, who tested positive show no signs of the virus. What does that say? Well, I have a theory. As you know, I lived on the streets of Skid Row for 8 years on purpose, on the sidewalks there, to understand and study this now, and I look for an answer to it. And I believe I got sick, really, really sick with a cold, a common cold, once out of that whole time. What is it? What I'm learning is that because people live in that kind of environment, filth and so forth on a regular basis in areas of outlawed codes of public health and safety zones, the immune system is always fired up and buzzing strong. Whereas other people who are not around that, their immune systems are weaker because if you don't use it, you lose it. And the homeless got to use it all the time. Of course, unless they're really sick or elderly, looks like they're not going to be contracting this thing, right? But they're carriers. See, we carry it. And therefore, when you open up the general public all the way again, the homeless population, being transient, are going to be roving biological time bombs. What are you going to do about that? You can't shut it down until you've addressed the homeless. But how are you going to test the homeless if they won't come in? You only have one choice, Mr. President, being that you have now taken over LA City's homelessness through the consent decree, the federal consent decree. The only way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, is if the president and Mr. Garcetti et al. Use the military, the National Guard, to simultaneously, rapidly, in a coordinated fashion, round them all up, bust them outside of town, truck them, whatever, into a quarantined area, maybe a former military base, I don't know, federal property, state property. Gavin Newsom's offered that. And they will be quarantined there indefinitely. Why? Because when the quarantine is over or they've been treated, they have nowhere to go in the mainstream society of Los Angeles or New York or Chicago or Honolulu or wherever they are. Why? You know this. The cost of living, the cost of rent, utilities, etc., taxes. Where are you going to go? And that's not just the chronic visible homeless, but the invisible homeless. Where are they going to go? They can't get in. Because the visible homeless cannot get in because the invisible homeless, they need to go up. And of course, more people are falling into homelessness, especially with this new economic disaster due to the virus. And you got a hot summer coming up here. That's going to spread more potential contagious diseases. You cannot let these people leave the quarantine area in the name of public health and safety. They got to stay there. indefinitely. And what you've done, America, we the people, we've allowed Mr. President, Mr. Garcetti, the mayor, President Trump, to be stumbled into America becoming a fascist state. This is how it started in Germany in the 1930s. It started with taking out the undesirables, the homeless, the drug addicts, the mentally ill, the disabled, the senior citizens. Took them away to encampments, internment camps, concentration camps. The next group they went after were people like me, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, activists, dissidents, who was pointing out to the Nazi regime, hey, what you're doing to people is wrong. This is unjust. They were next. Okay, if you like these people so much, you go be with them. And once the activists, the dissidents' mouths were shut, once they were held down and taken off the scene, then the Nazis went after whole groups, the Jews, Jehovah's Witnesses, the gays, the homosexuals, and anybody else that they deemed unworthy of their educated, civilized society. You see what you got here, Mr. President? You got a problem. You can't leave the homeless in the streets. You got to do something. Mr. Garcetti put them in hotels. Okay, the hotels are fine, single rooms. But after the hotels, where do they go? They can't go back to those neighborhoods. Mr. President, you need an exodus from the quarantine. And I have that for you. Mr. Garcetti, I shared that with you last year, June the 20th, 2019. Mr. President, go to the New Frontier Operation Humanity. That's NF2, the number 2, NOW.US. That's NF2now.us. You can also go to domevillage.us, and there you'll see my strategic national plan called the Egypt. It's an acronym. You'll get it. You can go there, and also you can go to tedhayes.us, tedhayes.us, and you can see all my videos about all of this and what I'm saying. And this is not the last time I'm going to address you guys. I'm going to continue to address you. I try to get through your staff, but your staff won't let me get to you, Mr. President, Mr. Garcetti. I know that if we sit down and talk, we can work this out, but you don't have to go the route that you're going right now. Okay? So as a 14th Amendment, 1866 civil rights federal super citizen under the United States of America, by that authority, I approach you by my First Amendment right and by my preamble responsibility. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union to establish justice. We, the people, not you guys. Okay. All right. Enough of that. Thank you for your time. And I hope this gets to you. Bless you. Shalom.